we're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Wednesday, July 29th here in Seoul. I'm Lee Soo-jin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Kyle.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. And also Kim's with us.
Thank you for having me.
For coming in. And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So it's now the middle of the work week, so let's check in on something that affects all of us, our health. With busy schedules, long hours, and so many things competing for our attention, it can be easy to put our well-being on the back burner. But sometimes the little things we notice in our daily lives can tell us a lot about what we're really doing. So Kyle, starting with you, how have you been doing health-wise lately?
Overall, things are great. I sleep well, exercise regularly. I'm feeling good in general, but if I have one concern, it's my weight, especially now it's summer, and I haven't got my summer body ready. So to be honest, my eating habits aren't the best. So I tend to crave junk food or strong, savory, high-calorie food. And I know that it's not the best option for me, but that's what I'm eating it, actually. On top of that, living alone and having a busy schedule means I rely heavily on eating out and ordering delivery, which I know that it's not the best option for your body. I realized that staying active isn't enough on its own, so I really need to start paying more attention to my diet.
It's really, well, I actually had fried chicken for dinner yesterday. I still feel really guilty about it, so I feel you. What about you, Kim?
I've been feeling good and bad at the same time. I'm quite a health conscious person, really just always trying to take good care of my well-being by obviously eating well, taking supplements, and exercising as much as I can. But to be honest, maintaining a good health throughout the week seems to be like one of the most difficult things to do besides work. And even if I'm eating well and like going on my regular runs, if I don't sleep well in terms of quality and quantity, it's going to affect how I feel the next day in terms of my energy level. It's going to be below average. And when I'm feeling, like low in energy, I would actually rely a lot on caffeine or like a lot of sugar as well, which would obviously affect my health. So it can become a vicious cycle, and everything's kind of interrelated. So I think, it's tough, but it's definitely worth putting in the effort because your body knows exactly what you're putting in your body and how you feel, and it reacts to it immediately. So because I felt that, experienced that, I know I have to be a bit more health conscious in terms of all the things that I've mentioned.
So it sounds like staying healthy isn't just about what you eat or how much you exercise. It's also about getting enough quality sleep and just finding just the right balance. So we're going to talk more about this, but first, let's take a look at the screen. When we talk about health concerns, we often focus on older adults and women. There's another group facing a growing range of health challenges that may get less attention: young men. From physical health concerns to mental health issues, men in their 20s are facing challenges that can have a lasting impact on their well-being. Today on News Generation, we take a closer look at some surprising findings on men's health, explore the health concerns facing young men, and share our own tips for staying healthy, both physically and mentally. Just as we saw in a video, men's health concerns can range from everyday issues to some much bigger questions about the future of men's health. And one recent study has raised some particularly surprising concerns about male reproductive health. So what did these researchers find about men's testosterone levels?
According to a recent study by an Israeli research team, men's testosterone level fell by 54% between the year 1972 to 2019, approximately falling 1% each year. Now, the drop has reportedly become even steeper since the 2000s, and what's important to note is that the testosterone level is directly linked to male reproductive health. So if this trend continues, men's sperm counts could fall extremely to low levels within the next few decades. And while many people think the success of pregnancy mostly leans towards women, that's actually not the case in reality, as the number of sperms also links to the number of active, healthy sperms that can actually be capable of, entering the egg and becoming fertile. So I think men need to kind of realize that it's their responsibility as well to keep their, sperms healthy and do regular checkups, especially if they plan to get married and have kids. And another thing is, as funny as the word may sound, some international media outlets have even started calling it spermageddon. It's like a combined word of sperm and Armageddon, highlighting the seriousness of declining men's testosterone levels that is directly linked to the men's reproductive health.
Right, so 54% is a pretty dramatic change, and it naturally raises the question of what's behind it. So what do researchers believe is behind the decline in men's testosterone levels, Kyle?
So researchers point out that the rise in lifestyle diseases such as obesity and diabetes as a primary cause, when adult diseases lead to an increase in body fat, testosterone is rapidly converted into estrogen. Furthermore, being overweight raises the temperature around the testicles, which negatively impacts healthy sperm production. Beyond that, other contributing factors are believed to include higher exposure to environmental hormones due to the everyday use of electronic devices, as well as climate-related factors like global warming.
So it seems this isn't just about hormones or reproductive health, and the way we live today could be affecting young men in many other ways too. And some of those concerns may sound surprisingly familiar to anyone who spends much of their day sitting at a desk or staring at a screen. But this isn't the only health concern that men are facing, so what are some other ones that are concerning young men?
More people in their 20s and 30s are reportedly developing degenerative conditions like herniated disc in the neck and the lower back. Now, those conditions were considered more common among middle-aged and older adults, but younger office workers who are spending a lot of time in front of computers and continue to spend more time on their smartphones in their free time, in a bad posture, it's making things worse for them. Now, along the same lines, doctors are also warning of that eye health is becoming a growing concern among younger men, not just men, but just women and even kids in general, with more people experiencing retinal and other vision-related problems. Now, young men are picking up diseases faster than before, but they actually just live on due to their busy lifestyles. And despite better, medicine and temporary treatments due to advanced technology, many actually end up reaching a point where it's actually too late to go back. And they either have to have a big surgery or have to just continue to live on taking medicine for the rest of their lives.
Right, I can feel myself sitting up more upright as you were telling me this.
We should.
Are there any other health concerns that men are
And when it comes to male insecurities, hair loss is something you can simply leave out. The concern has been haunting me for a while. In society like South Korea, where appearance is so heavily emphasized, hair loss is taken especially seriously. In fact, it's notorious for making it difficult for men to date or even sign up for matchmaking services. You get minus points if you get hair loss. Because it's a huge deal breaker for women when they're looking for their partner. Even the government takes hair loss pretty seriously right now, to the point where they're looking into funding treatments. I'm not dealing with hair loss yet, hopefully, but I still have this irrational fear in the back of my mind, like it might come to me at some point, and I really don't want that.
I'm sitting next to you right now. I feel like you have a lot of hair in your head right now.
I tried.
So from reproductive health to back problems and hair loss, it seems young men have quite a few things to worry about when it comes to their health. So let's find out just how many of these concerns hit close to home for our panelists here. So we have our OX pals ready. So which of these health concerns do you have? The first one I want to ask is the first one we talked about, reproductive health. Is that a concern or not a concern yet? Yes or no? So for Kyun, it is a concern.
It is, but to be honest, this is something that I really didn't think about until I decided to get married and plan to have a child in the near future. Now, many of my friends who got married in their 30s went through pre-checkups, like sperm count tests for men and ovarian function tests for women. Now, at first I thought I was, healthy enough. Too young to take these tests, but no, that wasn't the case in reality. So I actually, ended up going to the hospital to get these checkups, like I just talked about. And the good thing is that everything is covered by the National Health Insurance Service, because they're encouraging more young people to not just get married, but to have kids. And obviously, these checkups cost money, and what the health insurance is doing is covering for all these costs to encourage more young people to take the test so that they can actually have kids in a healthier, in a much healthier way.
So I'm hoping the results came out the way you wanted.
Fingers crossed. Okay, we'll talk about that off air.
Sounds good. So the second one I want to ask is about chronic diseases such as obesity and high blood pressure. Is that a concern or not a concern? So Kyle, you said it is it a concern?
Yeah. Oh, I am definitely worried about obesity, but honestly, it's more of how I look than about like health problems. But the thing is, the thing about the high blood pressure actually runs in my family, especially on my dad's side. So it doesn't really feel real to me yet. I don't have any symptoms related to any high blood pressure problems, but I always keep it in mind because I know it could become an issue for me someday because most of my dad's side of family have some sort of issue of high blood pressure.
And genetics are a big part of these as well. So the third one I want to talk about is neck and back problems, which a lot of office workers can probably relate to. So is that a concern or not a concern? So it is a concern for both of you. So cute.
It is, yeah.
You want to go first?
You know, I still do have neck pains, but having to be on the computer almost every day, and I would receive treatments if the pain was like too much to bear. But I realized it was only like a temporary relief, so I had to find like the fundamentals to actually not almost cure it. And I found that, you know, obviously stretching every day, sleeping in a straight posture, and trying to control my level of stress, because I realized, you know, stress was the biggest trigger to neck pain. So ever since I kind of felt it with my own body, I was like, okay, let's keep the stress level down, because I knew it. I know it's gonna hurt my neck. So I'm like, when I get stressed, I'm like, okay, let's lower it down because I don't want to hurt my neck.
That's really important to look at the fundamentals. It's really key. I agree. What about you?
Yeah, I think I've seen that on Korean drama, like when people get stressed, like,
oh, you're right. That's where
but back of their
necks,
pressure. Yeah, it's kind of similar for me, but I'm more worried about my joints, like my ankles, wrists, or knees. I've played a lot of sports since I was young, so I got hurt a lot, injured a lot, and I got so many surgeries actually. And as I get older, those spots start to hurt even when I'm just resting. Now I'm the weather forecast for myself. Like I know when it's gonna be ready. Yeah.
I see. So I mean, these are all things that people can relate to. The fourth one is a big one for men. Hair loss, yes or no? That was an immediate yes for both of you. Cute.
I think it's a yes for like almost all men, in Korea especially. There was a period where my hair was actually thinning. But again, it was primarily due to the high level of stress and not eating and sleeping well. So once I experienced the improvements by actually fixing all these bad habits, I realized, oh, so I can actually treat my hair without going to the doctor or taking medicine or even you know, the surgery, hair implants, because I did look up how much it costs. It's extremely expensive. So for all the men out there who have enough hair right now, protect it, cherish it while you have it.
Don't get stressed.
Don't get stressed.
I feel exactly the same. I feel like that's the issue that no man can truly escape from it. So I haven't actually gotten checked by a doctor yet, but every time I look into the mirror, it feels like my hairline is receding. It was here yesterday. It was actually here. This goes keep going back. And it's honestly terrifying. And what's even scarier is the moment I search for a hair loss product just once, my algorithm flooded with hair loss content saying like, you're too late, you're too late. It just fuels my paranoia even more.
So this is why a lot of people are so concerned about these 4 issues. So we've just heard what our panelists have to say on this, but we also wanted to find out what young men themselves are most concerned about when it comes to their health. So we want to hear directly from our viewers. So we ran a poll on the IDA News YouTube channel, this time asking men in their 20s and 30s, which of the following health issues concern you the most? And here's what the results showed. So it showed that chronic diseases such as diabetes and obesity came in first at 40%, followed by hair loss at 30%, reduced fertility at 20%, and degenerative conditions such as discs at 10%. So it is quite interesting that chronic diseases came out on top, while hair loss was also obviously a major concern, and perhaps a little surprisingly, reduced fertility ranked lower, even though we've just talked about how serious those concerns can be. And to put these concerns into perspective, we're now going to hear from a medical expert who can help us better understand what young men should be paying attention to when it comes to their health. And that conversation will take place right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. go to YouTube and search out Channel Arirang News. Click Posts and cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
We're joined now by Howard Lee, a doctor and professor at Seoul National University, specializing in clinical pharmacology and drug development. Hello, Professor. Thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Morning, and thanks for having me.
Great. So we talked about a plethora of health problems that young men are facing, but we want to hear from you. So what are the issues that are becoming more common among young men?
Well, I can think of two big things: the body's metabolism and the mind. Number one, obesity. More than half of Korean men in their 30s are obese, and men in their 20s is not an exception. The prevalence of obesity in this age group has jumped from approximately 30% to 45% in just 10 years, which is a big thing. The second one is metabolic syndrome. If you have three or more of the following symptoms or signs, such as belly fat, increased blood pressure, high blood sugar, high neutral fat or triglyceride, and low HDL cholesterol, which is also known as a good cholesterol, you have a metabolic syndrome. And what is striking about metabolic syndrome, particularly in Korea, is that there is a huge sex difference. In other words, men are at approximately 30%, women only 15%, so almost doubled. The third one, which is, I think, is a hard thing, suicide. From the teens through the 40s, the leading cause of death is suicide in South Korea. So men died by suicide 2.5 times more than women did. And what is also quite striking is the fact that Korea tops the rank among the OECD countries in terms of suicide mortality. And you guys are talking about, that was quite funny, about hair loss in the previous session. So I just want to briefly touch about hair loss. Yes, the prevalence of hair loss is increasing with age. So, I mean, if you get older, you are more likely to have hair loss. But the prevalence is still about 5% in their 20s. So the prevalence, I should say, of hair loss has stayed quite stable. But the way that young men are looking at hair loss has changed drastically. So is that young men don't put up with it anymore. So they just report it. They are looking for some ways to remedy the problem of hair loss.
Then what lifestyle factors are putting young men's health at greater risk than previous generations?
Well, many people think drinking is one of the culprits, but they have it backwards. Young men don't drink more than their fathers did 20, 30 years ago. For example, high-risk binge drinking among men in their 20s fell from approximately 18% to 10%, so they don't drink too much. Smoking is a little bit trickier. Cigarettes are down to 18%, but e-cigarettes are up to 9%. So if combined, total tobacco use still high at 20-something percent. Particularly heated tobacco use among people in their teens rose more than it rose more than doubled over 10 years. So young men don't quit; they simply moved house, what they call. So what replaced the old risks? I can think of number one is food. In other words, 1 in 3 young people, young adults, eats delivery food every single day. That's a lot. So what makes the problem more serious is the fact that approximately 50%, half of them, young men, they just skip breakfast, meaning that they skip the morning and load all the calories onto a late, salty, and unhealthy dinner. So that's a problem. And third one, I think, is movement. So they don't exercise. They should more exercise. And they don't sleep. I mean, sleep is another fact. In other words, they don't sleep much. Every survey that we can find puts Korean young men below what adults actually need, 8 hours a day. But we don't sleep as much as we should. And the next one is work. In other words, Koreans, particularly young men, work more times than the average in the world. Lastly, but not the least, which is directly related with increased suicide in young men in Korea, which is social isolation. So approximately 5% of young men aged 19 to 35, they are isolated from their friends, from their environment, from their social networks. So the most significant trigger for that social isolation is the difficulty in finding work. So the problem is it's not personal fault. Instead, it is a structured one. In other words, we have to deal with that from the social perspective.
All right. Unfortunately, we are kind of running tight on time, so but thank you so much for your answers. And I mean, this is so, I'm sure a lot of young men are concerned about this, so thank you so much for sharing insights with us today.
Thank you again. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.
So we've just heard from about the physical health concerns young men are facing, why some of these conditions may be appearing earlier, and what they can do to better take care of themselves. But physical health is only one part of the picture. Mental health is another area where Gen Z men seem to be facing some significant challenges. So how is Gen Z's mental health changing? And our Zoom guest talked about this earlier too.
So according to a US survey, a high percentage of Gen Z men diagnose their own mental health as being at risk. Also, Canadian statistics show that the rate of antidepressant use among Gen Z men is growing over 50% faster compared to all other age group. But the good news is that they are well aware of their condition, and high percentage of them are actively reaching out for therapy and counseling.
Mm-hmm. Right. So do you have anything to add to this?
I think it's the social expectations that it's put on, especially young men, where they need to, kind of experience success at a young age, and if they don't meet those requirements, they feel, I guess, deprived, and it causes depression as well. So maybe changing these kind of social factors could help young men feel less, I guess, pressured in society.
Right. So when it comes to health, there's no one-size-fits-all formula, but small, consistent choices can make a big difference. From getting enough sleep to staying active and looking after our mental health, taking care of ourselves is something we can't afford to put off. So whether you're in your 20s, 30s, or beyond, let's make our health a priority, not just when something goes wrong, but every day. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation. But News Gen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time with more stories and discussions. Big thanks to Kyle.
Thanks for having me.
And also Hugh.
Always a pleasure.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching. Here's to a future with not just good-looking or tall men, but healthier men. We are
News Generation.